Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we will wait for 2 more minutes so that other people will also join. By that time, I will request everyone to please type in chat from where you are joining us today, so we will have an idea that where we have reached and from which part of India you are connecting with us today. Please feel free to type in the chat box.
You could also request them, Maninder, to open their videos wherever they can, because it makes it much more interactive, if that's possible.
Yes, even if you are able to like switch on your cameras, we will more than happy to see you on screen also, so that we will have an interactive session with all of you. Please feel free to switch on your camera also.
I keep encouraging, मैं लोगों को encourage करता हूँ क्योंकि CSR is about disclosure.
बिल्कुल सर.
तो सबसे पहले आदमी अपनी शक्ल तो disclose करे.
So Vednath, hi Vednath, thank you for switching on your camera. Parvat Kumar ji, thank you for switching on your camera. Mona Lisa ji, hi. Hi Nitin.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Namaskar, namaskar.
Namaskar, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So 1 more minute, we will wait, and after that we will start. So by that time, please feel free to type in the chat box from where you are joining us today. So we have Asim from Delhi, Adiraz from Tamil Nadu, Alok from Jharkhand, Kerala, Assam, Rosni from Odisha, Mumbai, Bangalore, Randir from Bihar, Kiran from Karnataka, Riaz from Kashmir, Dr. Chandrika Sethi from Mysore, Nitin from Maharashtra, Abhishek from Madhya Pradesh. So I can say, sir, that we are covering almost all the location right now in India, and we
Very
have
good, very good, very good, very good.
everywhere.
इनफैक्ट इस टाइप की चीज एक नेशनल इंटीग्रेशन भी हो जाता है मनिंदर, बिकॉज हम पूरे देश की तरह, बिकॉज एक देश का कानून है, एंड देन वी आर लुकिंग एट CSR, और विद द न्यू ईयर कमिंग, आई थिंक नथिंग बेटर देन kind of getting the whole country together.
Please mute yourself. So it's my humble request that please mute yourself. If you want to ask anything, please feel free to drop your question. आपका कोई सवाल है, आप कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं, तो चैट बॉक्स में लिखते रहिए. मैं चैट बॉक्स लगातार पढ़ रहा हूँ. तो आपको कुछ पूछना है, कुछ कंफ्यूजन है, तो आप वहाँ पे टाइप करते रहिए. प्लीज़ डोंट अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ, क्योंकि उससे फिर बीच में डिस्ट्रैक्शन होगा. So thank you everyone for joining us. So let's start, and formally I would like to say thank you Nikhil sir and Mudit for accepting our invitation to join us for this very interesting session today. And before starting the session, and please type in the chat box also if you want me to speak in Hindi also. We will try to speak in Hindi and English, both the languages. So if you if at any point you are not getting anything, then we will try to speak in both the languages, either it's Hindi or English. So let me formally introduce Nikhil sir. वैसे if you are in CSR or if you are working in the social sector, everybody knows about him. So मैं बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं कहूँगा उनके बारे में. So Nikhil sir जो है right now, Nikhil sir is the founder of Lakshyaa, and he is also the chairman and founder of REACHA Foundation also. And we also have Mudit, a youngster actually who came back from America. There is a trend right now, if you see in India, that youngsters are going abroad and they are not coming back. But Mudit completed his graduation from USA, and now he's back in India, and doing some wonderful work. So during this session, we will also interact with the Mudit, and we will have a few questions for Mudit and Nikhil sir also. So I will not take too much time, sir. I am handing over to you with a question. Sorry, there is a power cut at my side. My first question to you, sir, that you are part of the CSR committee when you were writing this law. So we want to know that what was happening at that time, why, what was the need for this law, and how you and your team came out with this law in India.
Hey, thank you so much, Maninder. आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद for giving me this opportunity. But before I start, I would also like to tell everybody that Maninder reminds me and tells me that this is the young India. And Maninder ने खुद बहुत deep काम किया हुआ है. We have traveled into the field and done field work together, evaluated NGOs. When people like him are trying to bring the social sector together and to understand CSR better, nobody is happier than me, because I was part of that team within the Ministry of Corporate Affairs that played a very fundamental role under the very, very amazing leadership and mentorship of Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, who was the Director General at the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. And he developed a team of people who were very, very committed and who were there when the bill became the law. And it was rolled out from 2014. From 1st of April 2014. So Maninder, answering your question, so there has been a long discussion prior to this legislation. And in the course of this dialogue, I will also show some very key documents to the participants here as to how this conversation began. Initially, I would say that we would link it to, in a way, I would link it to the post-liberalization period. And, just 2 days ago, Dr. Manmohan Singh passed away, and we have credited him for liberalization and what he brought in at that time. And subsequently, the Modi government and the NDA built further upon it. In many ways, this is the beauty of the Indian constitution, that even if you may have political differences, देश के निर्माण में लोग जुड़ते हैं. People come together for nation building, and this is the beauty of our constitution. So after liberalization, the government programs went the way they did, but corporate India did very well. And shareholder value was increasing and improving very rapidly. और shareholders की ताकत बढ़ने से क्या हुआ कि corporate India became stronger and stronger because they got a lot of independence, lot of freedom as part of liberalization. This is during the 90s that it all began. The conversation also began as to how corporates can partner government to strengthen the taxpayer spending, because government is spending जो development spending है, that is all linked to taxpayer money. And the wealth in the corporate sector is shareholder wealth. So how can the shareholder participation or shareholder wealth strengthen the taxpayer development programs in the country? So there were 2-3 core areas that were identified, which was things like technology, innovation, project management skills, and things like that, for which the corporate sector became very, very well known. And I will share a document here, which is very, very relevant for everyone to understand. This is called the document where the Standing Committee of Parliament, I don't know how many of you have heard of this document. I would want you each, and I think Maninder, we will share these documents with all your audience. Once the session is over, you can share it with them. This is the Standing Committee on Finance of 2011-12. And this is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs Companies Bill 2011. So this was Companies Bill 2011, which then became Companies Bill 2012, and Companies Bill 2013, which finally became Companies Act in 2013. But this is the precursor to it, and this is the 57th report, which was submitted to the Lok Sabha Secretariat in June 2012. This document is a seminal document as far as I consider the journey of CSR, and this was headed by Dr. Yashwant Sinha. We all know about Dr. Yashwant Sinha, and I would want to mention him over here. If you see, the chairman is Sri Yashwant Sinha, and this was the committee which included some very, very, very illustrious people. And if you go through them, you will also find, interestingly, that many of them are political adversaries. But when they went to parliament and they are representing people, they're thinking about the welfare of the nation. And this is the beauty of our Indian constitution, Maninder, that they all came together. And if I do Control F in this document and I do CSR, I will find CSR 27 times. 27 times. in this document. And if you go, you will see how this new clause 135 was introduced. So the Standing Committee of Parliament introduced the concept of CSR in the Indian legislation when the Companies Bill was introduced. And this happened because इसके पहले जो Companies Act था वो 1956 का था. That उसके बाद liberalization happened in 1991. So the Act of 1956 became very redundant. So the Companies Bill was then brought as an amendment to it. And that is where this clause 135 was brought in. And this is where the journey of CSR began, Maninder. And this was the way wherein how can corporate India, through its shareholder participation, strengthen the taxpayer spending? So we have to understand that CSR is a jugalbandi. And if we are able to conceptualize it well as an NGO, as a corporate giver or an NGO receiver, or a government who is facilitating or even participating, then our bite in the game is much better, और हम बेहतर impact पे काम कर सकते हैं. So if you ask me again, in one line in the end, that this is how it all led to the whole conversation. The Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs was at the fulcrum of this rollout, and at that time, Mr. Sachin Pilot was the minister, and I would like to give credit to him that he literally piloted the bill at the last moment, and it became a law in 2013, August or September. And from 1st of April 2014, I would request the participants to have a paper and pen also, अगर उनके हाथ में है, तो इनको note करें इन सब points को. It then rolled out as of 1st of April 2014. So this is a quick background to or aadhar to the legislation, Maninder, which I think everybody should understand. And we will share this document of the Standing Committee, because जब ये Parliament Standing Committee के document को आप पढ़ते हैं, in fact, अभी One Nation, One Poll वाला भी has been referred to the Standing Committee recently, if you are aware. The Standing Committee is a multi-party committee. It has people from all so it's a consensus. Only because it was a consensus that CSR is seeing the 12th year this year, coming year. We are already in the 11th year. 24-25 is the 11th year of CSR. And इस समय में 2 लाख, 1.5 lakh से 2 lakh crore रुपया has been spent. Between 1.5 lakhs to 2 lakh crores of rupees have been spent by about 20 to 25,000 companies, all adding up. Each year, so many companies spend this money. So this is an amazing legislation. इससे बढ़िया कोई legislation नहीं है. And before I ask you to continue with the next question or maybe any counter question, we all must give a vote of thanks to the Indian Constitution. क्योंकि वो संविधान जो है वो हमको ताकत देता है. The Constitution gives us the strength to develop our nation for ourselves and leave a legacy behind for the future. Now it is up to us, we the people of India, to see what we want for our country. And that is where, forums like this, where you are trying to bring in like-minded people to talk about 10 years of the CSR journey, they must understand what lies behind this journey. Because then you will be more understanding of how you should take it to the next 10 years, Maninder. So this is what I think the best way to get this conversation started. And, as we are doing this, I would request people who are there on the call to please make their notes and also write their suggestions or questions on the chat box, which Maninder can keep taking up, and we can take the discussion forward. Over to you, Maninder.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much taking us through this journey, because I am able to recall my college days. At that time, I was a student, and I was doing my research on public-private partnership. At that time, I think PPP was the key word, which is like everywhere. I have also studied the document which you shared, and these documents, like you rightly said, that you have to study all the documents if you want to sustain in this sector and if you want to know more about the CSR. So, I will also say to all the participants that right now, if you are in this session and if you are interacting with the Nikhil sir, please keep writing, because Nikhil sir will share lots of the things which will help you. Actually, it's not about that. It's not about the CSR law at all. It will help you wherever you are working. Either if you are a job seeker, it will help you to upskill yourself about the CSR. If you are an organization, it will help you how to actually crack the funding or how to uplift yourself about the CSR law. So my second question to you, Nikhil sir, that we are almost completed a decade, and the amount is also raised by I think by 28% every year. It is increasing, and recently like Satwa have published a very good report. I will also share the link for that report for the benefit of the participants. So if I say that, in your opinion, how has CSR evolved in India over the past 10 years? And if you could highlight any like significant milestone which was actually achieved through CSR.
Absolutely. So, so this is a very, very interesting journey of CSR that I want to show to everybody. So, do you see my screen of these milestones that I'm presenting here?
Yes, sir.
Maninder, is it visible?
Yes, it's visible, sir.
Now, if you see, this is when the law was enacted in 2013. Then 14, it became active. In 15, so the high-level committees were set up by the government. So CSR is about data. ये सबको समझना पड़ेगा कि डेटा है ये पूरा का पूरा, because CSR is about spending. How much money can you spend between April of the financial year till March? But now there are provisions by which you get ongoing projects which can continue to be spent, and you can even give it to the government. The high-level committee, first high-level committee in 2015 was more of a starting point. They said we will again sit after 3 years. Then in 2019, they again sat, and there were some very fundamental amendments in 2021 January, wherein CSR was, the spending became mandatory. So the journey is one of, it was comply or explain in the sense that you must spend or give reasons for not spending. But now it is that if you don't spend, either you spend or the government will spend, but spending is mandatory. So the key change and the shift that has happened over the last 10 years is one on this, the nature of the law telling you that the money has to be spent. But the first priority is that it should be spent by the company itself, because this is shareholder money. This is not taxpayer money. And the CSR committee of the board, and in fact, this one slide, which I keep showing everybody, I wanted to show everyone. This one slide is very important, wherein you come to see how the role of the CSR committee is very, very important, wherein they decide where the money should go. If you see the box on the right side where the CSR committee of the board is mentioned, they are the trustees of this money. They will decide through their policy, which the board will approve, and through that there is an annual action plan and where the money should go. But interestingly, what has happened, and again coming back to this journey slide, what has happened is that initially companies were not spending, and they were just passing it on often to their own foundations and reporting it as spending. So the government then made it mandatory that it has to be not just allocation or transfer of money, it is actually utilization of the money, with the chartered accountants utilization certificates coming in. And the Institute of Chartered Accountant has become very, very relevant now. And in one of the slides, which I will again share with everyone, for the next 10 years, if you see the box number 9, the role of the auditor is becoming more and more important. So the journey has meant, one, that money has to be spent, either you spend or the government give it to the government. The auditor will measure that very tightly. In fact, even impact assessment auditors are coming in. Interestingly, government has become very active in the implementation part also. The law says that the money should not go to the government, but government can actively participate. So if I have a flow chart, and if all of you can take a paper and pen, I will give you 5 boxes are there. Box 1, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5. If B1 is Parliament, where the law was made, and B2 is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which manages the legislation, which is the fulcrum organization, like an enabler. Then B3 is the companies, because they are the eligible companies, and those companies are the ones who have to spend CSR as per some eligibility norms, which are again shown. If you see on the left side, the eligibility norms are shown. If you have these turnovers and etc., which I'm not repeating over here. Now, this becomes very fundamental that the companies understand that this money has to be spent. So initially, the government was more keen that the money should be spent by the companies. Then they said that if you can't spend it, you have to give it to the government. So the box number 3 is about the companies. Box number 4, and there are about 25 to 30,000 companies in box number 3. So box 1 is Parliament made the law, released in 1st of April 2014. Box number 2 is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, with the IICA playing a very key role in the rollout of the rules, etc. Box number 3 is the companies who have to spend this money because they are now eligible. And this box includes today about 25 to 30,000 companies every year. Box 4 is NGOs. There are 3 million NGOs in India. Out of them, about 2 lakhs are registered on the Darpan portal of Niti Aayog. Now, everybody should know that the Darpan portal is now mandated by RBI. Otherwise, your bank account will be seized. You have to have a Darpan portal if you want to do any NGO work in India. This is the latest from the RBI. Please make a note of this. Out of this, you have about 16,000 who are also FCRA NGOs. Maninder. Now, box number 5 is the beneficiaries, where the money should go. So the flow is from Parliament to the beneficiaries, box number 1 to box number 5. In box number 4, what has happened in the 10 years, Maninder, government participation and collaboration and leveraging of government has become very, very important. Today, after 8 to 10 years, maybe 7 to 10 years onwards, district collectors have become very active in ensuring and in engaging with CSR to collaborate at the district level, at the block level, at the taluka level. So whereas the law began 10 years ago in a compliance mode, in a mode where the corporates felt, why am I doing this? To the point where the corporates are actively doing it, they are gaining in terms of their business cases, their turnover is also improving because their branding improves, to the government actually becoming part of box number 4, which is also to participate in implementation, not by taking the money, but by collaborating with NGOs and by corporates. So that maximum benefit reaches box number 5, which is the beneficiaries. So the evolution has been amazing. If I'm also a student of the CSR dynamics, I can see that this engagement of taxpayer money with shareholder money is taking different formats of rollout on the ground. Earlier, the taxpayer, the government system was more of a monitor and a regulator, but now it is also very actively participating at the ground. I think the next 10 years will also see a more active participation, Maninder, of the academia. Academia का भी participation थोड़ा कम रहा है, and if NGOs are here, I would like to tell them it is very important that जो proposals बनाए जा रहे हैं NGOs के, the proposals that the NGOs are writing for CSR, they need to be much more anchored in deeper research from academia. If that research from a Tata Institute or an XLRI or a rural institute, IRMA kind of an institute, or even any social development institution, the research from the academia needs to be embedded into the proposals that the NGOs submit to the corporates. And I have been in discussion with a lot of academia people and a lot of corporates. I think this is where the participation of the academia will also increase. So again, just again to sum up my answer to you, the journey has been an amazing journey where the various participants, the government, the corporates, the NGO, the beneficiaries, the community-based organizations, and now the academia also coming in. You have a lot of IITs, who have separate foundations of their in CSR. You have the IIT Madras Foundation. They have IIT Roorkee has one. IIT Bombay has one. They want funds for research, and I'm continuously telling them that this research should go to the NGOs to become part of their proposals that should go to receive CSR money, because then only that extra innovation and the latest technologies will come into the CSR funding. So this is an amazing study, Maninder, and I would request all the participants over here to go very deep in understanding this journey. इसका analysis करना बहुत important है. अगर आप इसको केवल आप बोलोगे मुझे funding दिला दो, मुझे funding दिला दो, that is a very cut to cut approach. उसको आप कैसे understand करके impact लेके compliance के अंदर. So the two very key pillars again are compliance with impact. You have a framework which this law is defining, and within that you have to give the results and then communicate it in a better way. So that also helps the NGOs to raise more funds and become bigger players in the game.
Yes, you rightly said, sir. And from like when you were mentioning that even lots of the NGOs are asking that we are not getting funds. We have applied many times. We are not getting heard from the corporate sectors. So my next question to you, can you share some or put light on that? How CSR compliances, monitoring, and reporting have been changed or emerged, because earlier what was happening that we are not that much structured when we started, and now in the 10th year we have seen that so many things have changed. Even after the 2021 amendments, there are lots of changes which are in place, and that's why like organizations are, or the NGOs who are applying without knowing that what are the changes happen in terms of compliance or monitoring the way they change. So will you please highlight on this also?
Very good question, Maninder. It is very important for NGOs to understand that they must speak in terms of the giver, because it is the company who is giving you, who is reporting to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and complying. It is not the NGO who is complying, but the NGO must become a partner in compliance. Everybody please make a note. इसको आप कागज में लिख लीजिए बड़े बड़े बोल्ड अक्षरों में. You have to be a partner not just in implementation, but a partner in compliance. This is the punchline today, Maninder, because you may be doing very good work. आप बहुत बढ़िया फुटबॉल खेलते हैं लेकिन आपको ऑफसाइड रूल नहीं आता है. So whenever you will score a goal, it will be disallowed. You are a very good, fast bowler. You will bowl in somebody, but it's a no ball. A no ball is a non-compliance. We saw what happened with Fogart, Vinesh Fogart. She should have and could have won the gold medal, but because of a compliance matter, she lost it. So the fundamental element that the NGOs must understand is that when a corporate is giving you money, they are actually at risk also if you do not comply and submit the full utilization by 31st of March. So you need to be giving them confidence. And when I'm traveling and I'm asking a question in a group of 100 NGOs, how many know Section 135, the 9 clauses? In 100, I find rarely 5 hands going up even after 10 years of CSR. तो फंडिंग आपको ऐसे नहीं मिलेगी. फंडिंग जो है आपको ये कॉन्फिडेंस गेन करके मिलेगी अपने डोनर की, और आपको काम तो आना ही चाहिए. तो दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सेकेंड इज योर ओन गवर्नेंस एट द एनजीओ लेवल. आपका बोर्ड कैसा है, उसकी बोर्ड की अकाउंटेबिलिटी ऑफ द बोर्ड. How much are you following the memorandum of association of your own NGO, which has been registered with a Section 8 or with a trust or with an 1860 society? Are you maintaining those records very well, and are you implementing them properly? Are you having your NGO policies on POSH, on POSCO, on whistleblower, on data protection? All of these are very, very important today, because the giver, the moment you become part of the receiver from the giver, which is a company which has to comply to not just the ministry but a lot of other institutions, you become part of that larger loop. So NGOs, sometimes हम लोग उसको बोलते हैं corporatization of the NGO, but my sense is that that corporatization should not lead to a situation that the NGO loses its core essence of being an NGO, of being a community organization. You are a community organization. You are not selling soap in the market. You are trying to change lives. आप जिंदगी बदलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, या पर्यावरण का संरक्षण कर रहे हैं. You're trying to conserve the environment. So yours is like the role of a doctor. And you should be in the sector not to earn money as a doctor, but to cure the disease. The disease is poverty. The disease is unemployment. The disease is, non-toxicity in the environment, like we are seeing in Delhi NCR. So I think very fundamentally, the NGOs have to change their perspective to understand and align to the giver, because now FCRA has become very difficult. Getting money through FCRA is not easy, and CSR is becoming more and more bigger and bigger. And the compliances in CSRA are becoming tighter and tighter, because the ROCs are giving penalty notices to the companies, and the CAs are also being very closely monitored by the Institute of Chartered Accountants. वो भी बहुत tightly monitor कर रहे हैं. तो इसमें मैंने again, because I'm just screen sharing also, and maybe we can even share the slides with everybody later on. I've also shared some very fundamental, slides over here, which can again help our people understand that अगर आप इन points को थोड़ा सा ध्यान से देखेंगे तो आपको बहुत सी चीजें समझ में आएंगी. That from the corporate side, जो 5 mega trends हैं उनमें एक है कि CSR spending is now mandatory. There is finite time period. आपको खत्म करना है खर्चा. You have to spend it before 31st, or you get 3 more years in case of an ongoing project. You are partners in compliance, bullet number 3. And the Ministry of Corporate Affairs is not just a regulatory body, but it is very actively participating in nation building, as point numbers 4 and 5 show. And if you are an NGO, I think बड़ा, और ये भी बड़े key points हैं corporates के ऊपर. High level committee की तो मैंने बातें कहीं कहीं हैं. If you see bullet number 8, the role of the CFO has become very important in the company, the chief finance officer, because the finance officer chief tells the head CSR how much money you have to spend in this year. And the same CFO certifies to the board that the money that has been spent through the UCs has actually been spent. Then the head CSO, so the companies, I'm advising companies, and if there are any corporates here, then your CFO, head CSR, the chartered accountant, and the company secretary should sit together every quarter, because the head finance will tell the head CSR how much money to spend. The head CSR will spend it. The CA will audit it, and the company secretary will report it. Corresponding to this, again, NGOs have to make sure that her quarter mein their own program team, finance team, and the CA, they sit together to see that the money is being, the three key things is time, money, and work. So somewhere the NGOs need to start thinking, Maninder, more like the way the corporate governance is happening. They have to align their NGO governance in a way, because the giver has a governance pattern. If you do not align it, you will result into cross purposes. You will create a red flag in compliance, and your funding will never come. If you are compliant and your impact is not very high but showing positive trajectory, I am telling you, companies will give you capacity building. They would want more compliant NGOs who can then gradually improve. But if your intent is not to comply, they get very scared, because उनके ऊपर बहुत बहुत तगड़ी penalties आ रही हैं ROCs के through. Maninder.
Yes, sir. And you rightly said, even like there are lots of questions regarding the same in the chat box also, that how compliances are matter to get funds from the CSR foundations. So and there is an when I am compiling the questions from the participant during the registration also. So lots of people want to know that what are the most favorite, if I say that that education is one of the most dominating factor in CSR donation. As per your personal experience, because you have traveled pan India locations, and you have even currently working with multiple CSR foundation. So if I say that if you as per your personal experience, sir, what is the the best, or I will say the most measurable or sustainable projects which you think are preferred by the CSR foundations?
See, Maninder, some of the bread and butter projects will always remain health and education, because India still remains a very, very poor country. If you go to the far away places, health is not in good shape, education is not in good shape. Those who say that this is all done very well, they have not seen the remote parts of India. We do a lot of work in remote India, in difficult terrains, in the northeast, in Kashmir, in other parts of the country as well. So these will be kind of evergreen project. But I think the area of environment is now picking up very rapidly because of the larger climate issues. They must strengthen their work in such a way that the need assessment capturing is very strong. I think eventually what the corporate wants is proper mapping of need assessment to the impact evaluation in the end, because they want to see that the impact should be in proportion to the need, and in between comes the money and the funding. Somewhere, if this aligns with these projects, as I'm saying, like education, health, and environment, then their probability goes up. उनकी probability बढ़ जाती है funding की. तो ये तो positive है. लेकिन जो counter है इसका वो ये है कि अगर आपकी compliance की spinal cord मजबूत नहीं है, if you are not strong in compliance and in your own governance, if your organizational internal the strengthening is not there in terms of these key parameters, irrespective of your impact approach, the corporate will be very hesitant to give you money. So my very clear advice to all the corporates, to all the NGOs is, again, the other slide which I was showing at that time was, if you see the NGO leader over here, I'm showing the role of the NGO leader is very important. Maninder, मेरा ये मानना है कि जो एनजीओ चला रहा है उसको बहुत मेहनत करने की जरूरत है, उसको अपनी टीम को ट्रेनिंग देने की जरूरत है, उसको हर हफ्ते हर 10 दिन में उसको गाइडेंस देने की जरूरत है, उनको मुद्दों के बारे में बात करनी पड़ेगी. दे हैव टू टॉक अबाउट व्हाट आर द इश्यूज इन योर एरिया, how to highlight those issues, how to go and talk to the community, engaging with the community, and coming out with these models. Parallelly, the leader must understand Section 135. They must understand sections 12A, 80G, and Form CSR1. They must understand the income tax return filing form, ITR. Under, I think ITR 7 is the format under which the NGO is reporting to the assessing officer of income tax under their PAN card. Also very important is आपके बोर्ड मेंबर कौन है, बोर्ड मेंबर रहते कहां हैं, वो लापता हैं कि उनका पता है कुछ, आर दे अवेलेबल और दे आर नॉट अवेलेबल, बिकॉज in Darpan you will not be able to register today if the PAN card and the Aadhaar card of every board member is not matching. You will not get the Darpan. You will not get the Darpan, or it will be cancelled, and your, as per RBI, your bank account will be closed. Forget about getting CSR funding, तो दूर की बात है, बैंक अकाउंट ही बंद हो जाएगा आपका. तो गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया है कि, जो कि मैं प्रीवियस वाले स्लाइड में भी दिखा रहा था, ये क्योंकि कॉर्पोरेट्स के ऊपर ये सब पैरामीटर्स लग रहे हैं, हमें ये समझना है, हमें एनजीओ को बहुत स्मार्ट होने की जरूरत है. दे नीड टू बी वेरी स्मार्ट. इफ दे आर एबल टू कन्वे टू द डोनर दैट दे आर पार्ट ऑफ देयर टीम, they are part of their team, they are their extended arm. It is like as if they are part of the team to implement the project, and they are part of their compliance. If there is a fine, it is like a fine on the NGO. NGOs should not think of themselves as being separate. उनको अगर वो टीम फीलिंग आएगी तो वो कॉर्पोरेट की कंप्लायंस को भी समझेंगे. दे विल अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज द लोड ऑफ कंप्लायंस ऑन द कॉर्पोरेट एंड टेक दैट लोड ऑन देमसेल्व्स एंड नॉट लूज फोकस ऑन इम्पैक्ट. So the role of the leader is very critical. जैसे मनिंदर तुम एजुकेशन से हो, the most important person in the school is the principal of the school. अगर स्कूल का लीडर सही नहीं है तो स्कूल सही तरह से नहीं चल सकता है. Likewise, in any organization, if the head of the organization is लापता, is ignorant, वो पढ़ाई लिखाई नहीं करता है, उसको लगता है कि everybody will do their own job, it doesn't work like this. Leadership is by example. So the NGO leader has to understand these things, and then not just go for fundraising or implementation or whatever, must engage their staff in teaching and learning. Every NGO should become an academic institution also. The case studies should be exchanged across verticals, across. We do that in our own organization as well, and I can see some of my staff members also participating here. We do weekly calls, Maninder, where one team presents their project and the other team is then asking them questions, and we are trying to exchange. So the leader has to play a very important role. If this happens and the corporate gains confidence, I am telling you, even though evergreen sectors आपके health, education और environment हैं, there are cross-cutting sectors also which are very important. Disaster management, cross-cutting. Sports, cross-cutting. मैंने स्पोर्ट्स वालों को बहुत बार बोला है, वर्टिकल्स मत बनाइए अभी स्पोर्ट्स के. अभी इंडिया, जर्मनी या अमेरिका जैसा नहीं है. You will find it difficult to get verticals on sports. But if sports is used to mobilize students, if sports is used to increase attendance in school, if sports is used to make children in the community healthy, then the corporate will begin to grow in on your ideas. So sometimes I think the NGO must also allow the corporate to grow on the ideas that the NGO is presenting, and that should be definitely linked to the need and eventually to the impact. The key again is SROI. What is the social return on investment? They are measuring it, because CSR is about measurement and CSR is about money, and the role of the auditor is critical. They have to understand that every rupee of shareholder, एक रुपया shareholder should result in 100 rupee capitalization of the taxpayer thing. Therefore, leveraging भी बहुत important है. NGOs को ये भी समझना है, Maninder, that when they go to corporates, if they go with government partnerships, corporates are more keen to partner them, because corporates get more validation if a government player is also coming in. That also becomes very, very important, Maninder.
Yes, sir. Even I'm able to recall one of the session where I joined as a virtual participant, and you were keep asking from the audience that where I think most of the NGO leaders were sitting there, and I think rarely 2 or 3 hands were raised that they know about the CSR law. Even they have read the company that particular donor CSR policy at all.
अभी भी देखो ना मनिंदर, तुम्हारे इस ऑडियंस में 4 लोगों ने कैमरा ओपन किया है.
यस.
तो अभी प्रॉब्लम क्या है सेक्टर में कि वो अपने आप को सामने नहीं ले रहे. मैं किसी को भी पैसा नहीं दूंगा जिसका वीडियो नहीं खुलेगा अगर मैं फंडर हूं, बिकॉज आप पर्दे के पीछे क्यों छिपे हुए हैं? आप पर्दे के पीछे छिप छिप के बच्चे को गणित नहीं सिखा सकते हैं। आप पर्दे के पीछे छिप के आप जॉब नहीं दे सकते हैं किसी को। यू आर एक्चुअली डिसीविंग एवरीबडी देन, एंड आई एम वेरी ब्लंट अबाउट इट, आई एम सॉरी टू से दिस। क्योंकि अगर हम इस सेक्टर में उतरे हैं तो हम फौलादी होने चाहिए, हमें सवाल उठाना चाहिए, लेकिन हमें पहले जवाब खुद भी देना चाहिए उसका। तो आई एम तो वेरी वेरी क्लियर ऑन दिस मैटर दैट इफ यू आर इन द सेक्टर and if you are, so when you are not showing your face, then it means you will also not show the compliance documents of your NGO. You may be hiding some papers. So if I come in as an auditor, I will do a red flag maybe. So fundamental कुछ चीजें अभी सही नहीं है मनिंदर, unfortunately, because अभी क्या हो गया है, because of this Zoom and online and a lot of things happening this way, people are somewhere thinking that this is easy money. It is not easy money. It is money with very very high accountability. It is shareholder money and not taxpayer money. And this is not to say कि taxpayer money की accountability नहीं है सरकारी अफसर की, उसकी भी अफसर की है। मेरा ये कहना है कि when this 2% collaborates with the taxpayer money, that accountability of the IS officer should be questioned and made public also, because that IS officer is a public servant. Public is not the servant of the IS officer. The IS officer is the public servant. You have UPSC, Union Public Service Commission. It is public service, not public to be your servant. So we have to raise very very difficult questions, we have to ask very difficult questions, then only we will move forward as a nation. And the role of the NGOs is very critical. I see 110 people here. We are starting 2025. मेरे दोस्तों, मेरे भाइयों और मेरे बहनों, ये बात आप कान खोल के सुन लीजिए। ये निखिल पंत आपको बोल रहे हैं, जिन्होंने कानून को बनाने और रोल आउट करने में एक छोटा सा रोल प्ले किया है। आप अगर इस सेक्टर में लीडर बनना चाहते हैं तो सबसे पहले आपको अपनी शक्ल दिखा के उस रास्ते पे चलना पड़ेगा। You will be asked questions. You have to first prove that people can trust you. So if you are an NGO leader, Maninder, you have to convey that through your actions and your words. वो केवल आपको ऐसे फंडिंग नहीं मिलेगी।
Yeah, rightly said, sir. So my next question is about the impact assessment. That what role does impact assessment play in CSR today, and how like an organization can improve their evaluation framework according to the impact assessment?
So impact assessment बहुत ही critical हो गया है अभी आजकल, and let me tell you, the role of impact assessment is so important today that if you ask me, and if I'm a CSR funder, right, I will now show you another screen wherein I will show you how the money is actually getting distributed, because this is very important for everybody to understand. And 1 minute, this is the screen of 1 second. I will actually bring it over here first so that everybody is able to see that clear with great clarity. Just give me a second, because you've asked me a very critical question. Just give me a second, Maninder. Can all of you see this slide of mine? ये जो ABCDE है, ये पूरा 100 rupees CSR का खर्चा दिखाता है, how CSR money is being spent. If A is on administrative overhead, then B is impact assessment. CSR के कानून में अब impact assessment कानून के दायरे में आ गया है मनिंदर. If 100 rupees is A plus B plus C plus D plus E, where A is 5% of 100 and B is 2% of or 50 lakhs, whichever is higher. C is designing of CSR projects, D is implementation, and E is monitoring and evaluation. This chart is a summary. I've prepared it myself, considering the law and the rules and everything, so that it becomes easy. ये भी हम सबसे शेयर करेंगे इस कॉल के बाद, आपको मैं दूंगा, आप सबको शेयर कर लीजिएगा। इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट ब्लॉक नंबर बी में आता है। अगर ये ब्लॉक नंबर बी में आ रहा है, इसका क्या मतलब है कि ऑडिटर का जो चार्ट है, इन द चार्ट ऑफ द ऑडिटर एंड इन द चार्ट ऑफ द कंप्लायंस पर्सन, इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट एक जार्गन आ चुका है। It is like a key requirement now. So if you are Maninder, if you are sitting on 100 crores of rupees, if you are head CSR of ONGC has a huge budget. Will you not be very, very careful that whomsoever you are giving money is able to prove under column number B that the impact that this person will give me can be measured, and I can justify to the CAG auditor that this money is duly justified, because now it is part of compliance. Though this is for bigger projects, but even for smaller projects, the corporate wants to make sure that what will be the return on investment, usko SROI bolte hain, social return on investment. You must see what is the benefit to the community. And I feel every NGO should have an academic anchor or research people in their team. They, like in our organization, we have some very, very senior people who are researchers from very, very famous colleges and universities who are also field workers. They work very closely with my program team, because when I'm doing something, my program team which is implementing should always know that whatever I'm implementing should be such that it can be measured from a baseline to an end line against this money and in this time. It is not just कि हमने ऐसी charity में पैसा दे दिया. It is not. Please remember everybody. CSR is a restricted grant. सब लोग लिख लें कागज में. It is restricted grant under Form 10BD. Form 10BD income tax का return file होता है जब आप 80G लेते हैं. Every donor has to be given an 80G 10BD format. So the restricted grant, when somebody gives you, they want you to do something. And Maninder, because इसको utilization से link कर दिया है, the auditors, in fact, I am a visiting faculty in the Institute of Chartered Accountants, where CAs भी पढ़ रहे हैं अब CSR को बहुत गहराई से, क्योंकि उनके बहुत से clients हैं जिनकी CA की utilizations की उनको बनानी है reports, and if they are doing a hanky-panky job, their license can be questioned. So the NGOs have to understand this, Maninder, that impact is a key ingredient, और उसकी शुरुआत होनी चाहिए proposal writing से, और एक कदम उसके पहले से नीड असेसमेंट से. When they are assessing the need, they must keep the end goal in mind. When they are buying a plane ticket, they must know that this ticket is from Delhi to Chennai. They must buy it keeping in mind that I have to go to Chennai and I must land in Chennai. I should not take a flight from Delhi for Chennai and land in Mumbai, because the approval is for Chennai. You have to be very mindful. So very important to be anchored, very mindful, and internal reflection होते रहने चाहिए. The NGO must come back. The leader must bring the people back for reflection, for discussion. That are we on the right track? Are we moving in the direction of impact? So this is because all of this is now part of the chart. ये gazette notification में impact assessment word आ गया है. And even though impact assessment is there for 1 crore and bigger projects, in certain categories of corporate जिनकी budget है 10 crores and more over the last 3 years, but because it is there, the auditors are saying to the corporate head CSR कि आप छोटे projects में भी ensure करिए कि नतीजा अच्छा आना चाहिए, चाहे हम उसको measure नहीं भी करेंगे through an external agency, but please make sure that every proposal has the convincing power to tell me that there will be measurable impact, because वो compliance में gazette में आ चुका है.
Yes, and you rightly said that you have covered every aspect, or either it's impact assessment or CSR compliances. So before moving to Mudit, my last question to you, that I want this answer as an chairman of REACHA, that you are also running an organization, and this is one of the basic question, and I also got lots of queries on LinkedIn also, that what is the best way for the NGOs actually to secure funding for the impactful CSR projects?
So Maninder, in many ways I have been speaking about the same thing पूरा अभी में. एक मैं उनके लिए भी मैं बोलना चाहूंगा जो नए NGOs हैं. बहुत से NGOs, a lot of NGOs are small and they are new. Please remember, you need to be working for 3 years with your 12A 80G and Form CSR1 to be getting any CSR money. Please engage with corporate volunteers. A lot of corporates can send volunteers to your NGO to do Samaydan, Shramdan, Samaydan, and make those volunteers as ambassadors of your organization. Because the moment you are 3 years old, you can apply for CSR funding. एक पार्ट तो ये हो गया मनिंदर. दूसरा पार्ट जो मैंने अभी तक चीजें बोली उसको समराइज करके 1 point, focus on number 2, compliance with impact. First is engage with corporates. Bring the funder in terms of volunteers. Number 2, compliance with impact. Make sure that all aspects of your compliance are under control. From section 135 of CSR law, Companies Act, to the income tax of 1961, which includes 12A 80G. Then the MCA requirement of Form CSR1. Make sure that all your income tax compliances and the CSR compliances are taken under control, including your own constitutional compliances. If you are a Section 8, if you are a trust, or if you're an 1860 society. The third is, as I said, impact, compliance with impact. If your focus is education, Maninder, you should know the latest policy on education. NEP 2020 आपको आना चाहिए at the back of your hand. what is the national curriculum framework which NCERT is working on. You should know all that information and you should be embedding that in your proposals. Fourth, you must study the CSR policy of the funder. जो पैसा दे रहा है वो किस पैमाने पे दे रहा है. What is the policy framework of the giver? Who are their board members? You are not even doing that homework. Fifth, you must know the law of CSR. Under what field is all of this happening? Developing your own team and all of that is standard thing. But these 4-5 things, if you do well, Maninder, then you have a good probability of having a bite in the game. Otherwise, you will find other people going ahead and few NGOs getting a lot of money, which is still happening. और रिमोट एरियाज में अनफॉर्चुनेटली बहुत बार, इनफैक्ट अभी हम लोग ने लक्ष्य इम्पैक्ट फाउंडेशन में लिफ्ट हम लोग स्टार्ट करने, जो मैं तुमसे भी बात कर रहा था, वी विल मे बी शेयर दैट इन्फॉर्मेशन विद द ऑडियंस हियर आल्सो एज द 1st January कम्स इन. हमें एनजीओस को कैपेसिटी बिल्ड करना है मनिंदर. 2 लाख एनजीओस को हमें फोकस करना है जो कि दर्पण पे रजिस्टर्ड हैं आज की तारीख में. आई थिंक 1,80,000 हैं या कितने हैं. उनको हमें माइन्यूटली बताना है that you may be doing very good work, but if some of the other things are not taken care of, आपको फंडिंग देने वाला बहुत डरेगा, क्योंकि कंप्लायंस का बोझ उसके ऊपर है. CSR कंप्लायंस का आपको तो कोई फंडिंग डोनेशन से भी देगा तो अपनी इनकम टैक्स को अगर आपने मीट कर लिया तो यू आर फाइन. बट इफ यू आर टेकिंग CSR मनी, एंड नाउ टुडे CSR इज द बिगेस्ट रोल प्लेयर इन द डेवलपमेंट स्पेस इन इंडिया, तो आपको तो उसको समझना ही समझना पड़ेगा. अनफॉर्चुनेटली आई एम फाइंडिंग बहुत सारे एनजीओ को परहेज है पढ़ाई करने से. वो पढ़ना ही नहीं चाहते हैं, वो कैमरा नहीं ओपन करना चाहते हैं, वो पर्दे के पीछे रहना चाहते हैं, वो चाहते हैं कि फंडिंग मिल जाए मुझे बस. वो होगा नहीं. मैं थोड़ी कड़वी बात बोलूंगा, थोड़ी टाइट बात बोलूंगा, पर जब तक हम थोड़ा डिस्कंफर्ट नहीं क्रिएट करेंगे तब तक वो आगे आदमी बढ़ेगा नहीं. वो कंफर्ट में जीता है कि मुझे तो मिल ही जाएगा, ऊपर वाला दे देगा किसी दिन. ऊपर वाला जो है वो आप ही के अंदर ही है. वो तो आपको थोड़ा समझना है, अपनी आंखें खोलनी है, और अकॉर्डिंगली यू हैव टू मूव फॉरवर्ड.
Right. Yes, sir. You rightly said. I think even I still remember the first session with you when you were talking about that. If you either you are working in CSR or for CSR, you must know about the CSR law, and you need to keep upgrading yourself. And that is the mantra for the success also. That because everything is in or around the CSR law only. So now I will again get back to you, sir. Now,
in fact, once you do your questions with Mudit, you can take some queries because a lot of people questions are coming.
Yes.
Maybe
yes,
I would request people to directly ask the questions. Then it becomes more interactive.
Yes. So just after Mudit, we will take questions from the audience also, sir. So now coming back to Mudit. So Mudit, we have listened from the Nikhil sir about his journey, but as a youngster who have a exposure not about India from a country which is one of the most powerful country in the world right now, and you have also right now leading strategic part in the foundation. So from your perspective, how companies need to or not company, even the organization need to align their CSR initiative with their business goals without compromising on social impact?
So, firstly, Maninder, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to participate in this platform. And just to give a quick introduction, currently I am a part of 2 organizations. One is REACHA, and then other one is, as you shared, Lakshyaa. And earlier, in the past 7-8 years, I was in US. I was studying. I did my studies from US, and I did my graduation in finance and econometrics, and then I studied for 3 years in New York. So one thing that sort of led me to come back to India was I always had this thing, as Mr. Nikhil you also mentioned, right, how CSR is playing a role in nation building. I always had that thing in my mind, how to do something eventually in my career which can sort of build the country, make India stronger. So while I was in US, while I was doing my studies, I was always looking at things which were happening in India, or thinking about ways how I can sort of come back to India and sort of do something which can further strengthen it. Now, CSR, as you also know, and as Mr. Nikhil has also been sharing, it's an ecosystem which is giving an opportunity to bring different stakeholders together. So companies are also there, government is also participating, NGOs are there, local community is there. So it's a very good way where all the stakeholders are coming in. So initially, after my graduation, I was working for a financial consulting firm for 3 years in New York. Then I was just part of that one stakeholder, which is the corporate. Now CSR is enabling you, if you're from the NGO side, you're actually working with all of the stakeholders. You're working with government departments, you're working with the corporate, you're working with your team members in the NGO and the community members. So I think it's a very good way where if someone who is very interested in development of the country, they can come to this sort of space. And in terms of your question where you're saying how companies are aligning with their business goals, I think one thing which I am trying to sort of understand in the past. So I've been in the CSR space now for like 1.5 years, so I'm fairly new, and I'm also learning a lot of new things as I'm interacting with people. So one thing I'm gauging is that, say for example, I also read a question from Mr. Asim. So from REACHA, we have an opportunity to work with Cadence, which is being headed by Mr. Asim. So now Cadence is a tech company, and they also have their CSR projects. So I'm just giving you the answer with like a case study so that it's easier to understand. So in Cadence, we're doing a technology project where we're doing coding for girl students in Pune. Now, this is sort of aligning with the business interests of Cadence also because it's a technological company. So there's a direct link with what the businesses are doing and what they're trying to do in their CSR space. So even other projects that we're doing, there's a project in REACHA where we're doing with Nokia also. I can also see our SmartPort team, Kifayat is there, I can see him. So there are other team members who are in Kashmir. So now Nokia, their theme earlier was connecting people, connecting rural India. So this SmartPort program, now there also, the goal is how you can sort of connect people in villages through the program. So there is a strong alignment with what the CSR projects are coming up and what the business is sort of intending to do. Yeah.
Yes, even you already mentioned. So I just quickly want to know that how was your last 1 year in this sector?
So 1 year, again, as I shared with you, I'm from finance background and I've come to this sector. It's been about 1.5 years now. So it's been a good learning a lot from Mr. Nikhil, then from other people also who I'm interacting with. So one thing I can see is that it can definitely play a very important role in nation building. In REACHA also, we're doing a lot of projects with Indian Army, strengthening the country. Even other people are doing. There are other organizations which are doing a lot of good projects to strengthen India. And so I think that is one very good thing which which I have sort of learned, and which also inspires me for the coming years. And the other thing is one thing that I've learned to answer Asim also, I have been working with under his guidance also. So a lot of compliance, lot of documentation is required. So if you're getting, say, 1 rupee from a company as an organization, all the proper documentation and compliance paperwork should be there. And you also should ensure that how whatever you're delivering sort of also aligns with the project's goals with proper paperwork. There's no hanky panky, like you can't do any you have to be very transparent, honest, accountable, and if you are, then you should sort of enter the space.
Yes. So, Mudit, when you are saying about the nation building and in this technology era, everything is in or around data. So data is the new fuel, which is mentioned by lots of our political leaders, also even the business leaders also. As an professional with a background in economics, what is your thought that how data-driven decision making play an important role for long-term impact?
So I think data plays a very important role, even if you're sort of now, I've been part of the proposal making process of many projects. So even when we are making proposals, it's very important to study wherever we are trying to implement the project, the data of that geography is very important. It sort of helps us with the need assessment. The second thing is, for example, if you're trying to approach a corporate, it's very important to also sort of see where that corporate has been spending. So that data point is also important. Then just in general in the CSR ecosystem, geography wise, there's a website called csr.gov.in, where there's a lot of data analysis. Companies' data is also there, sector-wise data spending is also there in the CSR space. So that also one can study to fairly understand what is happening in the CSR space. So in general, data is very important. How now once you get the funding, it's very important. Say if you're getting 1 rupee, then you're generating impact of say 10 rupees. So capturing that impact is also important, which is coming up in the form of SROI. So data from the need assessment point until the very end, when you're submitting your final project report with the SROI, I think end-to-end data plays a very important, even in the UC process, like with the accounts team, because they are also all about the data, whatever spending is happening. So data plays a very crucial role.
Thank you, Mudit, for sharing your point of view. Now, my question to both of you, and even the audience is lots of people are saying that you are not coming to the audience question. We have talked about Nikhil sir and Mudit about the CSR, about the journey, how the law came in effect, and now even I want to know more about the Lakshyaa Impact Foundation also. The way you are you want to start in a new start for the CSR professional. So there's one thing, sir, and every time whenever I'm opening my LinkedIn account, everybody want to enter in this sector of CSR. Everybody want to work there, but nobody is talking about the skills. So according to you, as a professional, Nikhil sir, even Mudit, I also want to know from you also that what are the key skills, sir, which are right now in demand in the CSR sector, that if you want to in this sector, these are the essential skills which is needed.
Absolutely. I will tell Abhay, sorry, Maninder and Abhay, I think Abhay, I am seeing your messages. Please, aap impatient mat hoiye. We will take up every question, and I don't mind spending more time with you. CSR is also about patience. एक सब्र वर्ड होता है, सब्र. तो हम कोई शॉर्टकट नहीं कर सकते हैं यहाँ पर अभय, क्योंकि कुछ बहुत डीप लेवल का डिस्कशन चल रहा है और उस डिस्कशन में कुछ ना कुछ मोमेंटम होता है. तो केवल आपकी क्वेरीज के लिए हम यहाँ पर नहीं है, पहले आपको समझना भी पड़ेगा सेक्टर को. So be a little patient and we will come to you. So you have to learn to be a little bit more disciplined about this. So we will take up, I promise. Now the skills, Maninder, जो आप बोल रहे हैं, बहुत crucial है. आपकी नीयत क्या है? What is your intent? Why are you in the sector? Do you want to become a doctor because you want to earn a lot of money? Because लोग तो बीमार पड़ते ही पड़ते हैं. Do you want to be in the social sector because गरीबी तो जाएगी नहीं कभी, पैसा तो इसलिए आएगा ही आएगा? Or am I wanting to become a doctor because I want to cure the disease to make people happy, and money will then come? So I think before we go to skills, Maninder, पहले हमें नियत पे जाना है. If my niyat is good, if my intent is good, then irrespective of what skills I have or I don't have, I can be a good CSR professional. I can give this in writing to everybody who's here, because then you will pick up those skills also. Because you want to cure the disease, you will take up the right kind of course to become a good dentist, or you will take up the right kind of course to become a good heart surgeon. Because आप फिर ये नहीं बोलोगे कि मैं हार्ट सर्जन इसलिए बनूंगा क्योंकि उसमें पैसा ज्यादा मिलता है मुझे. So this is the first point, Maninder. The second is, I would say, observation skills. How, and in fact, I have described CSR as C for compassion, S for serenity, and R for reflection. So these are qualitative skills. Compassion. You should be very compassionate. उसको संवेदना बोलते हैं. You should cry for the poor. You should cry for the underserved. You should cry for the tree which is being cut. आपके अंदर दर्द होना चाहिए. So that is called compassion. S is serenity. You need to be very serene and calm, not impatient. Learn to hear other people, not be in a shortcut mode. R is reflection. Reflection is, Gautam Buddha's teachings, if you read, he would say, Appadipo bhav, be the light to yourself. Reflection. Why am I in this sector? What am I here to do? Now, basis these, another set of definitions of CSR is C for collaboration, convergence, and co-creation. तो आपके पास बहुत अच्छी negotiating skills होनी चाहिए. You should learn to bring people together. आपको रिश्ते बनाने आना चाहिए. You should learn to bring people together and create relationships, create engagements. C. S is about strategy. You should be a critical thinker. You should be able to bring people together with a strategy in mind. That if I bring these stakeholders together, I can solve a problem. And R, be result oriented. You should be good in measurement. आपको नापना आना चाहिए. You should know how to measure if a child is learning and improving in maths over a 1 year period. Therefore, if I am a maths person, I must be not just a good teacher of maths, but I must be able to evaluate through monitoring and evaluation कि वो बच्चा पढ़ रहा है कि नहीं पढ़ रहा है quarter on quarter. So you need analytical skills, you need very, very precise planning skills, observational skills, but all of these are important, but at the base of it lies intent, Maninder. If your intent is good, then I'm telling you, you will be a good CSR professional. You will learn skills. In fact, in our organization, Maninder, we try and hire people from the underserved community. So while there may be people from TIS and Delhi School of Economics and some top-run colleges, we have people who were actually cooking in a dhaba. And we have hired that person. And that person is being developed to lead a project. तो hunger in the belly भी एक और requirement. आपके अंदर एक कुछ बनने की तड़प होनी चाहिए. You should be willing to give yourself discomfort. हमेशा एसी में बैठ के आप अपनी प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट मत बनाइए. आप पसीने में बैठ के बनाइए, तकलीफ दीजिए अपने आप को. You have to learn to give yourself discomfort to be able to cross those barriers, because the sector is not a job. You are here to change lives. Another thing, Maninder, is it's not a 9 to 5 job. It is 365 days, 24/7. It is like giving oxygen or taking oxygen. You don't on a weekend, you don't stop taking oxygen. In a weekend, you don't stop loving your parents or looking after your family. CSR is like that. So when you are coming to this sector, please do not come with the one word, give me funding, give me funding, give me funding. Uski mala mat japiye aap. If all of these things you have, the donor will come to you. They would want to come and support you. So these are some very, very core aspects that everybody in this, and let me tell you, I will share one article in a newspaper which I said 10 years ago, as I was heading the learning and development vertical at the IICA, that, and Dr. Chatterjee, because when he developed this whole concept, that because CSR एक नया law बना है, CSR professionals को develop करना बहुत जरूरी है. So we started a 9-month IICA certification course in ICP in CSR, which is now going into many batches. And now we have other organizations like HCL Foundation and some of the others doing good work. Developing good professionals to give them those skills is very important, Maninder. And in these courses, we must talk about intent and niyat. We must also talk about rishta and relationships. We must also talk about sabr and patience. You have to be patient. You have to have sabr. तो बहुत सारे क्वालिटेटिव एंड बहुत सारे क्वांटिटेटिव स्किल्स चाहिए आपको अच्छा प्रोफेशनल बनने के लिए, बट इट इज नॉट लाइक अ फॉर्मूला बेस्ड सोल्यूशन. इट इज इंटेंट बेस्ड सोल्यूशन, आई वुड से. नियत पे है सब कुछ. इट इज ऑल बेस्ड ऑन योर नियत ऑफ इंटेंट ऑफ डूइंग गुड टू द वर्ल्ड.
Yes, sir. You rightly said. Even Mudit, now I want you to highlight any key skill which you observe that this is the key skill which is needed by as a young professional. It will be very helpful for those who just want to start their career in the CSR.
I think as like a young person who is about to complete their studies, we should think about how we can sort of, while whatever we are doing, how we can keep strengthening our country. So CSR is a good way. Even if we are not in CSR, still think of ways how we can give back, make our country better, even if we are in US or any other country. So I think that thinking about having national pride is very important. And the second one is you should have that with a good intent, as Mr. Nikhil said. So I think those are two important things. Whatever we are doing, wherever we are, keep thinking about where we come from and try to make it better.
Yeah. Yes, you rightly said. So Nikhil, even you already answered my second, or even like you have in one answer you have covered all my questions. And even
एक्चुअली क्या है ना मनिंदर, तुम मुझसे एक सवाल पूछोगे ना तो मेरे बहुत सारे आंसर्स आएंगे, बिकॉज बूंद में सागर है और सागर में बूंद है.
yes, sir. So
I am a little poetic and a little spiritual when I talk about CSR, because for me it is like oxygen.
yes, sir.
So वही मैंने बोलता ना, the drop has the whole ocean, and the ocean is made up of drops.
Yes. So, sir,
Now,
yes.
one minute. Now, if you tell somebody कि सर फॉर्मूला बताइए सर, बूंदों से सागर कैसे बनाऊं, तो भाई सागर तो बहुत तरह से बनता है ना. सो यू हैव इट, देयर इज इवेपोरेशन, देयर इज इवेपोट्रांसपिरेशन, देयर इज कंडेंसेशन, देयर इज प्रेसिपिटेशन. आई एम अ स्टूडेंट ऑफ ज्योग्राफी आल्सो. तब बारिश गिरती है, उस बारिश से फिर पानी आता है, नदी बनती है. सो इन मेनी वेज we should not look at CSR as a profession. CSR has to be a journey of life. CSR has to be a purpose, a calling in life. I will tell you, I had given the IAS exam and I got one of the gazetted services. My father was Secretary Government of India at that time, and I gave my 2 attempts. I had 2 more attempts left. This was 1992. And my father asked me a question, Nikhil, why do you want to become an IAS officer? So I was very clear at that time also, because I was inspired by my father. I said, Papa, I want it to be a means to an end, not to an end by itself. यानी कि मैं आईएएस ऑफिसर इसलिए नहीं बनना चाहता हूं कि मैं आईएएस बन गया, पर मैं आईएएस इसलिए बनना चाहता हूं कि मैं आईएएस बन के मैं देश का निर्माण कर सकता हूं. It will become a medium to achieve something. So when I did not get my IAS in the second attempt, he said, then why are you not in the NGO sector if you are so committed to the end goal of community? So that set me thinking. I said, yes, this is very fundamental. The IS course has taught me so much. The syllabus was amazing. I did geography and anthropology. And I realized that, well, I don't think I should become an IS officer, and I should not give a third attempt. Because if my goal is to use IS to do good, if being in the NGO sector also I can do, why not that? And maybe I can after, and in fact, coincidentally, 20 years later, 30 years later, this was in 1991, so 33 years later, many of my students in CSR today are IS officers. Many of the people whom I'm teaching are doing PhD in CSR, because वो journey of purpose बन जाती है आपकी. तो आपको, you have to be very clear why you are in the sector. That is why in CSR I'm saying serenity and reflection. Reflect करिए, सोचिए. Do not come here because scope, money, funding, that is very cut to cut.
Yes, sir, you rightly said. Even you already answered about the 2 very good certificate courses which are right now even ongoing on rolling basis. So my question to you that even I'm also curious to know that is these kind of certification are the key that if I have if I have got any certification even from IICA or HCL Foundation or TIS or any other institution. So is certification help professionals to get their or to ensure their entry in the sector?
Very good question again, Maninder. Certification is definitely important. But with certification, these values and qualities are also very important. Because, if you don't have that certification, maybe it is difficult for the other person to know what is your baseline, what is the basic level of knowledge that you may have. But again, I say, if you don't have a certificate, but you find a good mentor, सर्टिफिकेट के पीछे मत भागिए, गुरु और उस्ताद के पीछे जाइए. Find a good mentor, find a good guru, right? Find an Ivan Lendl for an Andy Murray. And Andy Murray could not win Wimbledon, but then Lendl trained him and then he won Wimbledon actually. So while certification is important, but certification is not necessary. मैं 2 बातें एक चीज में कह रहा हूं. Certification may help you get a job, say in a very structured organization, and you should do it. So as I said, IICA certification, HCL Foundation certification, TIS, XLRI, many of the others are also doing it. It may tell you about what all lies in that sector. But because the sector is about changing lives, it is about teaching children how to add 2-digit mathematics sum in addition, ganit ko jodna, vigyan, science. It is not rocket science. Certification with these values and good mentor. So find good mentors in the sector also. Also, if you want to be part of this sector, try and find a good NGO where you can go and volunteer. Samedan, test the waters for yourself. Can I, in my course in the Chartered Accountant, Institute of Chartered Accountant, I keep telling the CAs, please find an NGO and do field work. Do not audit accounts by just sitting merely in your room, because teaching a child maths is different from selling soap in the market. Audit of the two is different. So you will learn to give elbow room for a CSR program. So these 2-3 things are very relevant. Certification from a good institution where, and again, certification, like I can speak more for HCL Foundation because I'm the course director there, and we are actually spending a lot of time on this. That certification goes very deep into these values also. So if you can have a certification which can embed mentorship and guidance also, then it is most amazing.
Yes, sir. So now, I am done with the questions from my side. So quickly,
I think we should take some audience
yes.
question, and I would request, Maninder, those who have questions, they should ask themselves through the video, and we will answer them. Because it is important that we take care of their queries as well.
So quickly, please raise your hand. So then I will allow you to unmute yourself and ask your question if you have. And by that time, I also shared few links about Nikhil sir. I have shared the Nikhil sir LinkedIn profile, even Mudit also, REACHA, the organization which...
And Maninder, if you allow, I can even share some of the documents that I've shown right here on the upload, because that can really help them get the material. Why not? If you permit me to do that. Would you people like me to share the documents right here? Would that be helpful to all of you? If you can show some signs and signals, whether a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If it's a thumbs down, then I'll not share. So I'll do that. Okay.
So quickly, yes, Mona Lisa, please ask your question.
Sir, I am currently pursuing my MBA in Rural Management at KIIT University, Bhubaneswar.
Right.
I am a first year student. Sir, my question is how to find a good mentor in this type of current globalization era?
Very interesting question. So how to find a good mentor is like, in many ways, how to find gold in the haystack. You have to go into the field and also engage with people who can actually, so again, be in the sector, engage with people. And when you are doing that, you are able to then engage with senior people in the sector. So the mentor could be an academic mentor. A mentor could be, let me tell you, a mentor could also be a school teacher who's teaching children in a very beautiful way in a primary school in a remote area. Again, to Vivekanand, the mentor was Ramakrishna Paramhans. Right? The search of the guru is also the search of a person whose intent is good. So therefore, I think a lot about finding a good mentor is also related to the intent that you have. And then you will come across the right kind of people. Engage with them, talk to them, involve them, and then see if they can guide you further. It is not easy. But sharing from my own experience, I can tell you, when I left my engineering job, I had some amazing mentors. Because if I become a madhyam of the divine, again, I'm coming back to spirituality. Agar main Allah ka banda ban gaya, if I'm a medium of the divine, whether it's Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Sikhism, similar. If I'm a medium of the divine will get me the mentor. I will find such people. So do not plan too many things. Your intent will guide you. Your purpose will take you forward. But keep experimenting, keep engaging, keep talking, is what I'm saying. I think we can go to Velavan.
Yes,
maybe one by one we can take.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, please, Velavan.
My name is Velavan. Am I audible? Wales from Chennai. Velavan, Wales is short from Chennai. So, having worked with HCL for 25 years now, I'm looking forward. I have always been looking forward to do something good for the society, and mark of that, I've been doing last 10 years contributing to my society. Now I want to expand it a little further, the people and underprivileged people, so or completely expand the horizon. So what steps would I take? One, I'm taking the certificate course in HCL Foundation CSR course. What are the steps that you would recommend or way path forward, like 3 or 4, 5 steps that I should take forward.
So Velavan, I would say, are you also engaging with any NGO as part of your time to engage at a deeper level with an NGO to try and change people? Are you doing that on weekends maybe?
Not yet. Within my community is what I'm doing, and I've interacted with some of the NGOs for as part of my water initiative in my society.
So I would suggest and recommend that you take out time in such a way wherein you are able to also go deep. So I'll give you one example, Velavan. Do you engage in education? I'm just taking an example. Do you like education, for example?
A lot of training. I've done a lot of training with inside HCL. just kidding.
No, education and school level education, for example. So I will tell you one thing. Start teaching a class 2 or a class 3 in a nearby primary government school. Go and talk to the principal and ask the principal, sir or ma'am, I would want to come here every week to teach children maths or science in class 3, in class 5, in class 8. Go deep into engaging with the children. I did that. I resigned from my job, and actually I am not asking you to resign, but you could do it on weekend. When I went to a school and I started teaching, I found that I thought I was the teacher, Velavan, but actually I was the student and my children were my teachers. Because when I started teaching them, I read Vivekanand, I read J. Krishnamurti, I read Maria Montessori, I read Howard Gardner. I went into the theory behind how the brain works. Go deep, go deep. Take up one activity and go deep. Read the research behind it. And then you will see that this is part of CSR, R for reflection. You might discover trajectories that take you forward further. So it is about engaging with the end goal beneficiary and going deep into it to find out how much you really want the bite of it. Velavan. Okay. Till you do it yourself, I would say a course will not teach you that. A course will give you the framework. A course will encourage you. But if you want to really learn swimming, you have to dive into the water to swim.
Correct.
Any good course, any gold medalist from Olympics can teach you how to swim, but then you have to get into the water to start swimming. Till you do that, you will not know how much oxygen you should take if you want to do underwater swimming. Do you want to do diving, or you want to do a 100-meter breaststroke or a 100-meter freestyle? You want to be a math teacher, or you want to be a geography teacher? So get into that activity and go deep. You will get your own answer. It is about self-journey. It is about self-purpose. Nobody can give you the answer. The answer lies inside you.
Correct.
You need the triggers. You need the environment where you can actually do it.
I got the answer. Thank you so much, sir. Nice.
Ram?
Yeah, good evening, sir. I am
Good evening.
from Surat, Gujarat. Am I audible?
Yes, absolutely.
Sir, I am into CSR since 16 years. So my question is little different from grassroots level. You mentioned the various strata from parliament to community. So you briefed about the parliament to NGOs, but I wish to know about your perspective on community. Has any perspective changed from community aspect? What is their thought process about CSR or CSR professional, or about companies which are doing CSR nearby their areas?
You mean to say from the community side?
Yeah, from community side, sir.
So community is box number 5. Community is box number 5. It is the beneficiary. It is the community. So what is your key?
Yeah.
What is your specific question, Ram?
Sir, my question is the way when CSR was started and the way committee was observing about CSR, they were expecting from companies. So is there any mindset change you are observing from community? Because earlier what was happening, they were demanding and company were giving the specifically greenfield projects. So I am into operational projects since my career beginning. So what
So
I
you
am
are
feeling
you are in an NGO box number 4, or you are in a company box number 3?
I'm in company, sir. I'm in company.
You're in a company.
Yes.
So you want to know that how can communities express their requirements in a better way to the donor?
No, how communities are looking at CSR, sir, since 10 years evolution?
Very good question. Communities are today very aware that
Yes.
if the government funds are not, so we are doing a project called Smartphone, where we work within the panchayat system, and we take government services to the last person. So the community begins to understand that if government program is not reaching me, I can actually bring the CSR to bridge the gap. So the community might also have their own NGO. People, leaders in the community may form their own NGOs, or they may find NGOs who can bridge the gap to bring the government program to the community. The community is today very aware. Now, if the community is not aware, and if there are gaps, it is the role of box number 4, which is NGOs, to make the communities aware that there is a CSR mandate. And if these are the companies which are working in this area, then you can actually enable CSR projects to come here through NGOs or through government participation, and the benefits should reach the poorest of the poor. So the role, I think, in all of this, a key role is that of the NGO and the community leader. मैंने आपको एनजीओ में भी बोला था, जो एनजीओ का लीडर है उसका बहुत बड़ा रोल है. कम्युनिटी में भी लीडर्स होते हैं, राम. द रोल ऑफ द कम्युनिटी लीडर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. The community leader can mobilize more resources or ensure that more resources from government or CSRs can reach by being very proactive. So अगर आप, if you are part of the corporate and you want to hear more from the community, you can create a Janta Darbar and call leaders from the community to speak to you directly. आप अपनी problems बताइए, आपकी requirements क्या हैं, और आपके यहाँ पर कौन से NGOs काम करते हैं, आपके district collector कौन है. Maybe do a darbar with the district collector and the community leader and the local NGO, and you be there. The requirements will come out themselves. This is the beauty of the CSR law. That is why I keep telling everybody, please understand the law and the power of the law, because then you can actually facilitate a lot of positive change in the community. Does that give you the answer?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Ashwini.
हेलो सर.
Yes.
सर एक्चुअली मेरा क्वेश्चन बहुत सिंपल था, एंड हम लोग ने अभी अभी जस्ट CSR के लिए सोचना चालू किया कि हम CSR का काम लें, राइट. एंड थिंग इज व्हाट कि लाइक हमने अभी ज़्यादा कंपनियां नहीं, कुछ 4-5 कंपनियां को मैंने रीच आउट किया है. बट आपने जैसे आप बताया था सबसे स्टार्टिंग में ही, जब आप वो बनाते हो तो कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट बनाते हो तो इसमें एकेडमिया रिसर्च होना चाहिए, राइट. अब चलिए ये तो अपन अब गूगल करके दे सकते हैं, बट फिर जो मेजरमेंट होता है जिससे हम उनको बता सकें कि ये क्या आउटपुट लाने वाला है, तो वो जो बनाते हैं तो वो तो प्रोजेक्ट इम्प्लीमेंट के पहले ही बना देंगे अपन, या बनाने के जब अपन बना रहे हैं प्रोजेक्ट इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के पहले ही हम डिसाइड बता देंगे कि ये आउटपुट आने वाला है कंपनीज को.
नहीं, मतलब मैं समझा नहीं, आपका क्वेश्चन क्या है अश्विनी?
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये कि हम प्रोजेक्ट प्रपोजल डाल रहे हैं किसी कंपनी को, राइट. एंड हम जब प्रपोजल डालेंगे कि जैसे कि मेरा एक प्रोजेक्ट था बनाया हुआ कि लाइक हम जो स्व सहायता समूह है उनको हम ऑनलाइन कैसे परचेस करते हैं, कैसे सेल करते हैं, और ऑनलाइन होने वाले फ्रॉड के बारे में जानकारी देंगे, राइट सर.
ठीक है.
अब इसमें हम एकेडमिया रिसर्च लगा दिए कि इतने ऑनलाइन फ्रॉड होते हैं, जो सामान परचेस करते हुए ये करते हुए एकेडमिया रिसर्च में मिल जाएगा, है ना. एंड इसके बाद और प्रॉमिसिंग बताने के लिए हमारा जो प्रोजेक्ट है, किसी कंपनी को प्रॉमिसिंग बताने के लिए हमें और क्या देना होगा कंपनी को कि हमारा जो
बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. और अभी मैं चैट में देख रहा हूँ, डॉक्टर हेमंत ने लिखा है लॉजिकल फ्रेमवर्क एनालिसिस, LFA बोलते हैं उसको, थ्योरी ऑफ चेंज बताते हैं कि आपके इंटरवेंशन, इनकम, इनपुट, आउटपुट, इम्पैक्ट, ये सब क्या होगा. आपके एफर्ट से डायग्नोसिस के बाद में जो इंटरजेक्शन होगा उससे चेंज क्या आएगा, वो बहुत कुछ हेल्प करेगा. और आपको ये भी समझना है कि द मोर यू आर एबल टू रिलेट द नीड टू द एंड आउटकम, द more positive the corporate is likely to become. Please understand that the corporate is looking at measuring work, time and money. इसको 3 चीज को नोट कर लीजिए अश्विनी.
जी सर.
जो वर्क है वो 12 महीने में वो काम होना है इतने पैसों में।
जी
सो उसका आपने अब नीड असेसमेंट करके आप बेसलाइन आप बना रहे हैं।
जी
उस बेसलाइन को आप वो दैट इज द नीड असेसमेंट इज लाइक अ डायग्नोसिस एंड देन यू हैव अ बेसलाइन व्हिच इज द स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट। इट्स लाइक अ ब्लड रिपोर्ट। इफ यू हैव अ हेडेक यू गो टू द डॉक्टर, वो ब्लड टेस्ट कराता है आपका, और आपका विटामिन डी कम आया, फिर वो दवा देता है, इट गिव्स यू मेडिसिन, एंड देन दे डू एन एंड लाइन, हैज विटामिन डी इंप्रूव्ड और नॉट। So your project should be the intervention that cures the disease. And
ओके
if you present the theory of change, the log frame, इसकी पूरी ट्रेनिंग होती है, वो अभी समय नहीं है बताने का उसको, पर मनिंदर हैं जैसे ये लोग भी सब टेक्निकली ट्रेन्ड लोग हैं, आपकी इसकी एक एक्सपर्ट फ्रेमवर्क बनता है कि आप क्या इनपुट्स दे रहे हो, क्या एक्टिविटीज कर रहे हो, क्या आउटकम होगा, क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा। बट हैविंग सेड दिस, माई ग्राउंड एक्सपीरियंस टीचेस मी that nothing is more important than being on the field. आपको फील्ड वर्क के लोग चाहिए जो जमीन पे जाके काम कर सके, जो डिस्कम्फर्ट झेल सकते हैं अश्विनी। एंड उसकी रेगुलर रिपोर्टिंग टू द कॉर्पोरेट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एज पार्ट ऑफ योर मॉनिटरिंग एंड योर रिपोर्ट शेयरिंग। केवल ऐसा नहीं कि जब उसने मांगा तो आपने दे दिया। जो एंड गोल है आपका, जो कमिट आपने किया है अपने एमओयू में, आपको वहां तक पहुंचना है उतने पैसों में उतने टाइम। So we can discuss this more offline. I have shared a lot of information also. My contact details are also there. हमने अभी हैंडबुक भी मैंने शेयर कर ली है, उसमें उस हैंडबुक में से काफी सारे पेजेस हैं, इंटायर लॉ इज देयर, यू शुड रीड दैट। एंड प्रेजेंटेशन भी मैं अभी शेयर करता जाऊंगा पीडीएफ, नहीं तो अगर वो नहीं बन पाएगा तो मैं मनिंदर के थ्रू शेयर कर लूंगा। सम पीपल आर आस्किंग फॉर द पीपीटीज, मनिंदर वो दोनों मैं आपसे शेयर कर लूंगा, वो बाकी लोगों से भी आप शेयर कर लीजिएगा। आकांक्षा, योर क्वेश्चन?
So we will take only last two questions, sir. One from
Yes,
Akansha and one for Shalini.
Already,
Because
हाँ,
we
because
already
it's already
exceeded.
8:30.
Yes.
हाय सर, गुड इवनिंग। सर मैं गुवाहाटी से बिलोंग करती हूँ और यहाँ पे मतलब मैंने कुछ सर्वे किया है। मेरा खुद का एक इनिशिएटिव है। मैंने ना एनजीओ में रजिस्टर किया है, ना मेरा क्या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में रजिस्टर किया, क्योंकि मैं कंफ्यूज हूँ दोनों चीजों से लेके। फंडिंग तो मेरा है कि इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग, बट उससे पहले जैसे कि गुवाहाटी में या ऑल असम में मैंने एक रिसेंट सर्वे किया था, वहाँ पे जैसे कि सुइसाइडल केसेस बहुत ज्यादा है, तो इसकी वजह से मैंने मेंटल हेल्थ सेक्टर को चूज किया। एंड मैं बहुत सारे ऐसे मतलब अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम करती हूँ थ्रू पॉडकास्ट एंड स्मॉल इवेंट्स। लेकिन सर जब किसी कंटेक्स्ट पे जाती हूँ तो उसके लिए बहुत पेशेंस चाहिए होता है, क्योंकि लोग अप्रूवल नहीं देते हैं। और ये सारी चीज मैंने पहले कभी नहीं किया। अभी रिसेंट मैं मीडिया बैकग्राउंड से हूँ, मैं फॉर्मर जर्नलिस्ट भी थी, लेकिन मैंने इसलिए मीडिया को चूज किया क्योंकि ये मीडिया इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टूल टू गो टू द पीपल, वो एक पब्लिक रिलेशन बनाने के लिए। तो सेकंड चीज है सर फंडिंग। जैसे कि मैं खुद अकेले कर रही हूँ, तो फंडिंग मुझे वो प्रॉब्लम मैं फेस करती हूँ, कॉन्टेक्स्ट में मैं फेस करती हूँ प्रॉब्लम्स। तो मुझे ये फेलोशिप में जाना चाहिए या मैं सीएसआर जॉब में जाना चाहिए, या मैं कैसे उस चीज को आगे बढ़ा सकती हूँ? मुझे वो गाइडेंस भी चाहिए।
तो आकांक्षा, मतलब मैंने डिटेल्स भी शेयर कर रखे हैं बिकॉज यू नीड अ डीपर गाइडेंस, पर मैं आपको
Yes,
इतना
sir.
बता दूं कि इवेंचुअली अगर आपका गोल है टू चेंज सोसाइटी,
Yes, sir.
तो अगर आप प्रोजेक्ट्स के रूप में करते हैं तो वो बहुत हेल्पफुल होता है, बट इफ फेलोशिप कैन लीड यू टू अंडरस्टैंडिंग द इश्यूज बेटर, तो फेलोशिप करके आप उस तरफ भी जा सकती हैं। मैं आपको एक और चीज भी बता दूं, अभी आसाम ने एक सीएसआर अथॉरिटी भी सेटअप की है, और आप उससे भी आप एंगेज करिए, कॉर्पोरेट्स की रिसर्च भी करिए कि आसाम में कौन कौन सी कंपनियां काम करती हैं, उनकी सीएसआर पॉलिसीज को भी पढ़िए। मेंटल हेल्थ इज नाउ एन इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया अंडर 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 हेल्थ, प्रोमोटिंग हेल्थ केयर, जो शेड्यूल 7 में बुलेट नंबर 1 में आता है। तो उस एरियाज को भी करिए, और फिर आप अच्छे कोर्सेज भी करिए, जैसे आईआईसीए का कोर्स है, एचसीएल फाउंडेशन का कोर्स है, कुछ कोर्सेज को भी ज्वाइन करिए। धीरे धीरे आपको आइडियाज आएंगे इसमें बेहतर, बट यू आर फ्री टू राइट टू मी एंड आई विल बी हैप्पी टू गाइड यू फर्दर।
Okay, sir. Thank you.
या आई थिंक शालिनी।
Good evening, sir. It is a pleasure to be in your company always. And for the mentors, sir, we can gladly say that we have found one in you, and we'll be kind of stalking you if don't take it otherwise. I have two very small questions, sir. One is like, as an NGO, we do the entire research and need assessment, and we also align with the corporate and CSR goals while proposing. Even then, if we face a rejection or we are not shortlisted, so what is it that we can do to know that what were the areas that we were lacking? And we can probably, because
Yeah, so-
every year, annual CSR proposals are submitted to the same organizations mostly. So I mean, next time we can take care of those loopholes.
So this is very, very relevant. Sometimes the corporates do give you reasons, Shalini. Huh? You should first try and seek for some answers if they can. But if they don't give you answers, I think what is a good way is to sit with the proposal writing team and do a detailed debriefing as to what all did you propose and where you may have gone wrong. Because suppose you've submitted to an RFP, there could be so many reasons by which you were not selected. My suggestion is that one is to request from the donors themselves if they can give reasons. But if they don't, which they often don't, the only other way is to sit and again debrief with the team and go extensively into the need assessment you did and what were you proposing. Are there other ways of proposing also at a reduced cost? Was cost a reason or was the program a reason? You could do that. Third is, you can also have some subject matter expert. Suppose it was a health project, and have a subject matter expert to come in as a third party evaluator and give you suggestions and inputs, who is not part of your team. Because that would be an outside in view from a subject matter expert who's also not the funder.
True,
because
sir.
that person may be evaluating other projects from other funders. So that is another way. So going deeper to understand that is very, very important.
Okay. And so do we get any corporate funding for capacity building of NGO workers also?
Yes, as one of the line items, you can include that as part of the capacity building for that project you can get for that project. But to train NGOs, you have forums like the HCL Foundation Academy, where a lot of people come in from NGOs. I think you're also doing batch 11 right now. So you are an NGO, you're coming in and the foundation is doing it. So some corporates have that mandate, Shalini.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Maninder, what do we do now?
I think we have done with the question, and still there are lots of queries which are coming in the chat box, and I will request everyone to please reach out to me or Nikhil sir or Mudit or LinkedIn. We will be more than happy to answer your queries, because due to shortage of time, we already exceeded more than half an hour now.
Yes.
So
and Maninder, before you end, मैंने 3 डॉक्यूमेंट शेयर किए हैं अभी. आई थिंक वो सबको दिख गए होंगे. और 1 या 2 प्रेजेंटेशंस हैं, वो अभी थोड़े से मैं उसमें कुछ एडिटिंग करनी है, डेट पुरानी पड़ी हुई है. आई विल सेंड इट टू मनिंदर एंड मनिंदर विल बी एबल टू शेयर. यू हैव देयर कॉन्टैक्ट्स, मनिंदर, you can share with them.
Yes, sir. So I have all the email IDs. So
Yes.
I will along with that, I will also add on the top 15 courses. I also compiled an toolkit for the CSR, where I have compiled all the guidebook, the law, and the most important website which you need to follow.
In fact, Maninder, as you rightly said, हम लोग लिफ्ट भी लॉन्च कर रहे हैं. Maninder will also be working in partnering very closely. It is a free platform. It's called Lakshyaa Institute for Fundamental Transformation. उसमें हम एक इकोसिस्टम क्रिएट करेंगे. उसमें सवाल जवाब डायलॉग होना चाहिए, क्योंकि सेक्टर को मजबूत करना है. अगर हम सेक्टर को मजबूत करेंगे तो बहुत सी चीजें निकलेंगी. 1-1.5 घंटे में सब आंसर या सब सोल्यूशन नहीं मिल सकते हैं. तभी सब्र चाहिए, आराम से पेशेंस चाहिए. जुड़े रहिएगा, बस डिसअपॉइंट मत होइएगा, डिलीजेंट रहिएगा. बाकी ऊपर वाला रास्ता दिखाएगा. थैंक यू ऑल सो मच. ऑल द बेस्ट. हैप्पी न्यू ईयर. आपको नया साल बहुत मुबारक हो. And
thank you so
I
much.
hope you get more funding. You make you cure more disease. You find more reasons that corporates can partner you. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Nikhil.
Maninder. Thank you, Maninder, for doing this.
Thank
God
you
bless
so much.
you.
Thank you, Nikhil sir. Thank you, Maninder.
Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank
and
you.
you will
everyone.
find all the recording on our YouTube channel. If you want to watch it again, you can watch recordings there also. And after this call, I will share all the details via email. Please check your email. You will get an email from the TopMed. So thank you so much again, Nikhil sir, and thank you so much, Mudit. And thank you everyone for joining.